that we currently have with the federal and the provincial governments. Some of the highlights from my 2012-2016 public service portfolio. It was the creation of the core group and addiction strategy. And we're all familiar with in 2015 what had happened with a lot of us losing our members at an alarming rate. And just for those that are just running new, we don't anticipate these things happening. We have our focus of what we want to do and sort of a vision, but these things happen just out of the blue. And this is something that really struck a chord with me, affecting family and friends and the community in general, and losing that. So from that, we put together a core group, bringing the community together and the departments, and then we introduced harm reduction in saving lives and finding supports for members that were impacted by the opioid addictions. And that battle is still going. I don't want to get too much into the details of sort of these, just these highlights. I'm also available to the members out there if they want to go into more details. So that was one of the, some of the stuff of the focus that I was involved in. Also, many of you are familiar with the implementation of the Social Development Enhanced Delivery Program. And that's assisting members with their skill set so that they're ready for employment and that they're not always dependent on our social development. And that was successful and is still going. We also had the revision that's always ongoing of our administration BTA HR policies. Also, the inclusion was a really a good thing, was the inclusion of our off-reserve elders with our Elders Utilities Program. At that time it was on reserve, and then we thought this was time that a lot of our members, I think at that time, 4,000 live off the reserve, and I believe it's about 1/3 of our population. The other thing that we looked at, and this is always the campaign theme, is council travel. So towards the end of the 2016 term, I was reappointed to the Finance Committee. So the overall chief and council budget, we had actually reduced that by 100,000, the overall budget. So again, that's always ongoing, and we encourage that we get to more of a realistic, like what does the salary reflect, and also what is the actual travel and the event of trying to stay and keep business at home. We also had the, as most of you know, the intervention, the stability of the BTAP, the Blood Tribe Agricultural Project. Not too much detail there, but I am available for people who want to discuss further. The overseeing of our public service programs, that included the Kainaiwa Children's Services, Social Development, Family and Community Support Services, Key Housing, and Public Works. And so that was part of most of that first term. So going into the second term, we had this successful, this was from, 2016 to 2020, well now, we had our successful referendum on land designation, giving the tribe and members opportunities with outside business partnerships so that we could actually, begin that process. But you have to designate the land that our members all agree that we can do that kind of business on. So that was finalized, and that's an ongoing thing. And I'm very proud of the committee that I worked with this round, is that we actually implemented and we finalized our land, Blood Tribe land management policies. A lot of times they say these are in draft form, this is best practice. And so this year, towards the end, we really strive to get that done. The other thing, the securement of the 19% that benefits our non-land occupants, we kept that locked in. So every year, once a year, that we would see that distribution process. Of course, the success of these 3 ongoing land claims. The recent one was the mismanagement of assets, and that's with these last distribution. And then one now that we're working on is the cattle claim. And another one that's really important to those that are seeking the council seat is to really understand all the details about the big claim, because that was a really successful win. We also had the evaluation of our BTA communications processes, information technology, finding the resources and support for our community-driven projects and assisting our most vulnerable on city streets. Sage Clan Patrol is an example of Foundation of Hope, Calgary Homeless Foundation, and Alberta 7 cities for the homeless populations across Alberta, because we know that our members are very transient. They go from community to community, and cities to cities. And also just overseeing the economics development work plan, which was the Blood Tribe Lands, ECDEV management, and the Blood Tribe Employment Skills Training, which is BTEST. So this time, I've chosen the theme of continuing next steps because a lot of these are already happening and going on. That's what I chose for my campaign. I know we had discussion already with this, and I wanted to just sort of give an update that we are looking at improving the secured, improved Wi-Fi technology for our reserve because as mentioned, it is right. It's really challenging out there on the reserve with our Wi-Fi communication. Now with COVID hitting, we've got really, it's important that we have proper communication. So at this point, we're in talks with some of these companies where we're having 1,400 homes, and then we need, so for that area there, is that it's going to cost $1,000 per home and 17 towers at $200,000 per tower. So you're looking at roughly about 3.4 million for that project to happen. And the talks are in there. I don't know if some of you are familiar that the government has given us that we're available, that funds are available for that. So that's ongoing because number one is really getting this project through. And through the course of the last two terms, I know in 2016, there was a total rebuild capital project, and that was covering all our roads to be rebuilt because in the 1960s, from day one from the federal government, these roads were never built properly. So there's already a plan that's set into place. It's already done. I've got the booklet, and if some people out there want to, again, in touch with me, it identifies your road, what needs to be done, what a proper road looks like in that area. But that again is almost 22 million to do. And that's my passion right now, to get to see that through, because we have these land claims and there are a lot of amounts. So 22 to 24 million isn't a lot when the tribe is going to be looking at almost, I would say, over 400 million as these other claims come through. This year, again, we saw the completion of the Eaton project, and Deandra spoke to that as well. So that's a good milestone that we have. Now we have that going, and we've secured some lands there at the Blood Tribe, the ranch, and then we need to see that through. So I'm glad that we have that because, again, going back to Buffalo Treaty, it's a cultural identity. It's a keystone animal. And it's really important that we return there because it's that identity through our sacred societies, the environment, the nutrition that we get from it. So I really want to see that through with this term in the event of moving forward. And again, this goes hand in hand with our cultural retention of our cultural and our Blackfoot language. So my vision also includes an Elders Senior Center. I know that we do have the Elders, the ceremonial building, but also an off reserve. I've talked to most of our elders and seniors that we have a large population, and they want something more recreational that they can go to sort of on their own, something similar to the ones on the outside cities and towns. Of course, taking us through this COVID pandemic and realizing that our worlds have changed, such as you're seeing now. What does that world look like, and how does that program delivery services and whatnot? So I've got the 1 minute warning there, but I just want to impress this from my experience. With every campaign season, I often see the intention of transparency, accountability, communication, consultation with our community members. Now, with my experience and continued advocacy for reporting to members, those that get elected, as soon as you get in, those 12 individuals need to really remember that, because if you have 1 or 3 or 4, and all of a sudden it's like, well, we'll wait till we'll get the information organized, or we need to plan that to get out. We really need to, that's where it has to start. Otherwise, we're going to go over the same thing and we're going to start losing that momentum of communication. So I've always been for that. People know me in social media. I go out and we have coffee meetings and stuff like that, and trying to make that available all the time. But it's going to take the 12 that get in there from day one to do it all the time and get that momentum going. Because to be honest, I've been through this a couple times. We tend to leave our pamphlets at the door once we get elected. And that's nothing to take personal with any of the candidates, but just to keep in mind that when we come together like that, it's really about our community. So I just want to congratulate all those that wanted that put their name forward. And it's really exciting times. It's really challenging. It's a thankless job, but then again, if you're really into that vision and wanting to be the best for your community and create these solutions, it's really important. So thank you, Sandy.
Okay, thank you, Lance.